echo sings for you. Rain falls on this town as you fall into the light. It's dark as into the water.
Greetings, it's Travelling Matt here, reporting on another day in Finland. I'm sitting at the moment in a wonderful cafe in the Atheneum Art Gallery. It's a premier art gallery in Helsinki. But I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Now I'm talking about yesterday. And yesterday was, well, I guess it was one of the days with the least to say. We're now winding towards the end of our holiday, and yesterday was the first act of sort of going back. Woke up quite early in the morning in our apartment in Oulu, and then just went across the road to the railway station and got on the train 9:15, and that train took us all the way back to Helsinki. So about 7 hours on the train, which sounds like a real chore, and do you know what, it wasn't. I could have done 2-3 more hours. I loved every second of it. I love long train journeys, they're incredible, and Finnish trains are really kick-ass. So I guess the question is, why? What makes them so good? Well, one thing is they have broader gauge tracks. The tracks are wider apart than on normal railways, so therefore the trains themselves are wider, and what that means is you have a lot more space. I think one of the big problems with British trains are very cramped, but Finnish trains, like the landscape, are big, so there's room to spread out and there's room to actually enjoy the journey. We had a couple of seats, but I actually spent most of the time sitting in the buffet car, and the buffet car was a real proper buffet car. So I had breakfast, I had a cinnamon bun and a coffee, and then I did some writing. I did lots of reading. I read a book that I bought the day before called The Year of the Hare. Now, I'm probably going to get the name of this writer wrong, but it was Arttu Hasalinum, I think. He's a very famous Finnish writer, and his most famous book is called The Howling Miller. And I'd actually read that about a year or two ago, quite enjoyed it, and I went into the bookstore yesterday and I was looking for a Finnish book to read on my Finnish journey, and after going through a few with the guy in the bookstore, that's the one I picked, and it was a brilliant read. It was really funny. It's about a guy he's a journalist and he's had a tough day. He's in the car with a photographer from the same weekly that he works with, and they hit a hare with a car, and he decides to save the hare, and the photographer gets frustrated and abandons him, leaves him there, and he basically has a year where he tramps around Finland. He gives up his wife, gives up his job, he tramps around Finland with a hare as a travelling companion, and he does like logging jobs and like handiwork, and he sort of, I guess it's a midlife crisis novel, but it was really, really funny. You know, he meets a guy, an ex-police chief, who thinks that the president has been replaced by a doppelganger. There's a forest fire at one point where he saves a cow, and there's some military exercises where a soldier gets attacked by a bear, and in the end he ends up hunting the bear and crossing over the Russian border, where the Soviets think he's a bit of a hero because they appreciate the strong, rugged, rural man. But there we are, yeah, so that was that. And I also wrote my first short story in a long time, and it was partly inspired by the novel. It was called The Raven, and it's about a guy who's walking through a forest and he picks up a raven. But it's a bit of an allegorical tale, and I think it came out really well. So that was that. Tanya did some drawing, she did some sleuthing, she did a lot of reading in Northern Lights, and it's really good to see her getting into the reading as well. And we both just had this relaxing day until we got into Helsinki. Again, always a fantastic station to arrive in, that one. And then we went and stayed at the Hotel Arthur, which was recommended to me by the husband of one of my mum's friends. And it was a really nice hotel, a bit better than the ones we normally go. Not the absolute cheapest, but not expensive either. And we booked in there, and then we decided to go for a sauna. Now, last time I came to Helsinki with Thomas, we went to the Oulu sauna, which is kind of out on the edge of town, and I really like that wood-fired sauna where you can jump into the seawater. But there is another famous sauna, and it's, I forgot the name today, but it's by the main harbour, and I'd seen it from the ferry out to the island when I'd gone there. So I thought, let's try that one, and we did. You had to wait an hour though, because it was so busy before we could go in. So we went and had our tea at a Korean buffet, and then we went in this sauna, and it was cracking. It was really good. So there was a male sauna, female sauna, and a mix. There was a swimming pool that was slightly heated, but a bit too cool for me. There was also a seawater pool, and I just love getting really hot in the sauna and then getting in the seawater. And of course, my dip in the ice-covered lake in Taivalkoski prepared me for this. But yeah, wonderful. Like, you get in, and it literally, it's like wow. And you get out, and you can feel your body starting to seize up, and so I only last a few seconds in there. I mean, there are Finnish people who can survive much longer in there, but then you get out, and your legs are aching, like but you feel so alive when you get back in the sauna. And there were lots of people in the sauna. There were some Japanese, so we had a little bit of a chat to. There was a Canadian lady, lots of Finns, of course, and 3 Chinese guys that kept coming in. So yeah, it is a tourist thing, but it's also one Finnish guy we're speaking to. He goes every night. He's got membership. And it was just wonderful because the evening gradually darkened over the centre of Helsinki, and it was fantastic. And when we came out, we actually were chatting to this Canadian lady. She is of Latvian heritage, and she's actually working in Latvia. Not like she just wanted a job in Europe, but managed to get one in Latvia, and so she's been to the places where her grandfather was from. They escaped during the early years of the Soviet occupation. And she was talking about, what it's like working in an international school, and yeah, she was a really nice girl. And we walked back via the main Lutheran cathedral, and there was a passion play going on. Now, obviously, it was all in Finnish, but I worked out that it was we came in at the turning over the tables in the temple. And then there was the Last Supper bit, and we sort of left when he was washing the disciples' feet. But it was quite dramatic. We had a big crowd watching it. Because it is Easter Sunday today, so it was Easter Saturday. So it was nice to do something that was in fitting with the Easter season. And then we went back to the hotel, and I've been talking to Tanya about lots of different films, and it turned out she'd never watched Clueless. So we sat in the hotel and watched Clueless, and she really enjoyed it, and it was a nice trip down memory lane for me as well. So there we are. That's me, Uncle Travelling Matt, saying, keep travelling.
Uncle Matt getting into the seawater. Will he make us, or will he not? Whoa, look at him. He wants the video sideways. He's going in. Whoa. 3, 2, 1. Woo. What's his reaction? No reaction. He's hanging onto the bar. He's underwater. No, he's not. Look at him. And he's going straight back out. Oh my gosh. Wow. So adventurous of him to stay in that so long. He looks like he's being abused.
The echo sings for you.
His feet ache.
Green thoughts and